We now need to begin our 4 o'clock publicly noticed up meeting. You also have the avenue of contacting your local legislators as well. Thank you for coming. We know that this screen over my left shoulder is annoying. I can only hope that the screens in the center in Chicago are doing the same thing right now.
That's funny. I like that one. That was funny. Yeah, I'll make that motion, Victor.
Yeah, I have 2 phones. Go ahead and call. Leave your name though. Leave your name, so it's not an anonymous call. I don't want any, I don't want to update my warranty on my car.
I'd like to begin now the Board of Commissioners meeting in Washington County on this, the 20th of August, 2024. We appreciate those who are joining us with Zoom and those who are present. We will begin with an invocation by Deacon Carlos Mendez, I believe. Thank you for welcome. From the St. George Catholic Church and part of the Interfaith Council, which we appreciate so greatly in our city. Please come forward to the mic and pull it down a bit so that you can be heard. Thank you, Deacon.
Very much. Thank you for your presence. Lord, may everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your help, so that all our prayers and works may begin in you, and by you be happy ending. Glory and praise to you forever and ever. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time to be here and to start with prayer. Next, we'd like to ask James Schaefer of the American Legion Post 90 to please offer our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I may, Commissioners,
That's a great coin.
Thank you so much. I can honestly say that through the American Legion, it keeps the hearts and memories of many who have fallen and who now serve alive, especially those who have loved ones that lost their lives, and that their only avenue to direct solace and connection is through the American Legion and the local posts. So appreciate their great efforts. Having said that, our next item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than requests to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept our consent agenda consisting of the following items. Item A, consideration of auditor-approved claims for payments for August 7th, 2024 through August 20th, 2024. B, consideration of commission meeting minutes of August 6th, 2024. C, consideration of commission work meeting minutes of August 1st, 2024. D, consideration of special canvas meeting minutes of August 5th, 2024. E, consideration of planning board for Washington County America 250 celebration meeting minutes of August 7th, 2024. F, consideration of administrative adjustments, personal property. G, consideration of applications for property tax abatement, which there is one. H, acknowledgement of adoption of ordinance 2024-1267-0 and 2024-1268-0 published on Sunday, August 10th, 2024. And I, consideration of amended resolution number R-2024-3309, and that is my motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second on the consent agenda, no division noted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. We're going to suspend item number 1 to the next county commission meeting. Can I have a motion reflective of our mechanical difficulties for showing a video?
Mr. Chairman, given the fact that our western screen is possessed by the devil, I move that we amend the agenda to not include item number 1, the presentation which on a video, until a future commission meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not completely sure if we have satanic spirits here or just an electronic malfunction, but either way, I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor for amending the agenda to remove item number 1, say aye.
Aye.
It might have something to do with the housing market, up and down. It could have fit in really well.
Could have done.
Okay. Having said that, our next item is a presentation for employee longevity. Jacob, you're here. Jacob Browning, I saw you. Will you please approach and let us know about our great employee, Charles Kurtz?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I was just thinking this afternoon, I think this is my 20th longevity award this year, and that's just a testament to the dedicated employees. I truly have the best department in the county. We just have the most dedicated employees. Chuck is one of those few and great that support and is out in the community every day. He's celebrating 20 years with us. He's been driving Meals on Wheels with us. Did you start as a Meals on Wheels driver? And he's just loved it so much. He is a very dedicated man. There's so much I could fill up a whole meeting about Chuck and his caringness and his dedication to the citizens of this county, and checks in on everybody and delivers a meal every day with a smile and gives them a little quick joke here and there, and they just love him. I'm so lucky to be able to have Chuck part of my team, and so privileged. And so just if you would join me in courage.
Can I just say how much I appreciate our Meals on Wheels drivers? I mean, it's almost like it is service. I mean, we call you an employee, but you're really out there just giving service to our community, checking in on people that are really at a fragile point in their life. And that I think it's much more than the calories that you deliver. It's that personal human contact that you give to people that are homebound in our county. And the fact you've been doing it for 20 years, that's, because this isn't a full-time job by any stretch of imagination. This is really, like I said, I consider you guys volunteers. You're doing it as a work of the heart. So thank you for what you do and your labor of love. So thanks.
And the number of people that we talk to, piggybacking off of that sometimes the Meals on Wheels delivery is the only human contact they have. And I know of in another county, not here, but in another county, became a close friend, and that the Meals on Wheels driver was the one who notified that one of them had passed because they were the only people that came around. So it's not just the delivery of the calories. You really do a great thing for those people that receive it. The nutrition is maybe the secondary benefit of the whole thing. So thank you for everything you do, and for 20 years, that's impressive.
Do you have a particular incident that you can recall where you went above and beyond just delivering a meal, that somebody made a request of you and you had to keep schedule? I get it, but do you have something that comes to mind?
Well, we have found people on the floor and had to facilitate, actually 911 to come and do it. But you're right, it's that smile, it's that friendliness, it's the ability to serve. God has been good to me, and this is something I could do. It's just that whole relax, enjoy it.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to come down and get a picture with you and Jacob, if you don't mind. And is your wife here?
Yeah.
Could she
wife's
join
here.
us? Well, here you go. You hold that with Dave away. Well, there's lots that are moving into areas of longevity with us, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We have several that are over 30, and we appreciate their service. Next, we'd like to have a presentation by Christy Pike, who's the director of CJC, our Children's Justice Center, on the Victims of Crime Act update. Christy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you here.
Thanks.
It's a gorgeous day in St. George. So we're just going to quick run through a few statistics, and same as always, when I'm here in July, I'm going to do 2 reports. The first is the report of where we're to so far this calendar year, and then I'm going to report on the last fiscal year for our VOCA grant. So in the first 6 months of 2024, we served 153 primary victims. That included 112 forensic interviews, 60 medical exams, 45 traumatic stress screenings. This is where we screen for symptoms of traumatic stress and suicidality. We facilitated 58 in-depth multidisciplinary case reviews where we get the whole team together, and those are really important. That's how our prosecutors decide what they're going to prosecute. The most common allegation, as always, that we saw is child sex abuse or assault, and 70 alleged primary victims were 10 years old or younger. So that's the last 6 months. That's January through June. Now let's talk about the Victims of Crime Act. They're on a fiscal year, so it ended June 30th. And we're just starting the second year in a 2-year grant cycle. So in that information on the criminal justice process, the goal was 650, we achieved 900. Medical exams, the goal was 125, we did 116, so we were right in that, right close there. Interpreter services were down, and we provide interpreters whenever they're needed. So what that meant was that the call for interpreters was down. The year before, it was very high. The other thing I'm going to say is that our interviews, starting maybe November of last year through spring, were down. And whenever the interview numbers are down, everything else is going to be down as well, because that interview is what instigates all the other pieces. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Individual counseling sessions. The goal of 1,300, I don't remember signing off on that goal. We've never been anywhere near that high. We achieved 658. What we found was that a growing number of kids are already in therapy when they come to see us, and we are not going to do anything to instigate something that would break that therapeutic bond. So if a child's already in therapy, that's great. And then we have parents who are just like, hard no, or not now, call me later. So, and we call them later. So, emergency financial assistance. This is a goal that we don't actually try to achieve. We say we might do 50. We provide it whenever we see it's necessary. We really hope there aren't 50 times that we needed to use it, and there weren't. There were 20. This is the feds give us $1,500 a year. That's what's in our grant for emergency groceries, emergency pay a power bill, emergency. I've got kids in here for a medical. 9 o'clock at night and they haven't had dinner yet, can somebody go to McDonald's? That's what we use that money for. Assist in obtaining protective or restraining orders. The goal was 35. That again was a really high goal. We've never done 35 in a year. We achieved one, and here's why. The person who, well, two people. We had two people who were qualified to do those, and they both left about a year ago. And so it has taken us until just a couple months ago to get somebody on the staff trained on being able to do those. And what we were doing was sending families to the different police stations to do those if they needed them. So they were still getting the services, it just wasn't from us. Submitting crime victims reparations applications, the goal was 45. We achieved 47, so we were right where we should be. And then those traumatic stress screeners and referring for mental health, again, that's down a little, and that's reflective of both there being fewer interviews and fewer families who even want to talk about. Either they're already in mental health or they don't want to talk about mental health. So other major achievements of 2024 so far, we opened our medical and mental health expansion, which is awesome, and we've already just been so glad we had it. I mean, for starters, because the air conditioning in in the part of our building, our old building that housed medical, went out in June, and it took us a month to get it figured out. So they made a faster move than they had anticipated, and we're really glad to have the new space. But we also have been able to do some things in the new mental health space that we wouldn't have been able to do before. We have a contracted therapist who's seeing a lot of clients in that space that are our clients that she's seeing in addition to our on-staff mental health therapist. And what that means is that they can see mom and child at the same time. One of them can see mom, one of them can see child, and they can do it at the same time, and that helps that family a great deal. So having that space has been great, and having the play therapy room has been awesome. We contracted a forensic interviewer for Kane County. They have not had a forensic interviewer in the past, and we were able to contract with someone to do that for them. As you recall, a year ago, we took on Kane County as a satellite of Washington County. 48 members of our Washington County multidisciplinary team attended the Utah Children's Justice Center Symposium in May up in Snowbird, and there was a lot of good content there. I think, Gilly, you've been to that before, haven't you? Yeah. And then this is something I'm super proud of with our team. We completed our National Children's Alliance reaccreditation. That is something that we were working on for 18 months. It was 800 pages of documentation to show the National Children's Alliance, who is our reaccrediting body, that we are providing good services. So that's a big deal. Now, don't go forward. I know that 2 weeks ago, that you approved our renewed contract with the state. I didn't know if you had any questions about any of that, any of the budget that went with it, or any of the rest of that. So if you don't have any questions on that, then we don't need the next slide, and we're golden. So,
Christy, would you say that your numbers are reflective in the state?
Yeah, we've had a number of counties, including Kane County. The interviews they went down there for a little while, and people have been doing this for a lot longer than I have. Will tell you the numbers will go up, the numbers will go down. You can't control them, you can't predict them, you can't even tell what it was that caused it. They just naturally go up and down, and we were kind of seeing that as in some other counties in the state as well. Our numbers are back to where we would expect them to be the past month or two. We would expect to do 25 interviews in a normal average month. As of today, we're at 21 for this month, so we're right where we would expect to be. So, yeah, I wish I could tell you I was smart enough to figure out why up, why down. I'm not. It's just they're up, they're down.
Well, my experience is that your team can take 2 hours in an interview or 4. I mean, you know what I mean? If there's a line out the door, that maybe it's a 2. But my point of that is that people don't set goals in your industry and then want to see them fulfilled. You know, it's the reverse goal situation. Like the chief of police saying, our goal is to have 2,000 crashes a year, and we're only at 1,500. Come on, officers, go out there. You know, that's not. It's a horrible way to look at things to set a goal, but you know that your team can achieve these goals if they also, I don't want to say get the word out, or at least that
Yeah.
people can pass the word along because they were so well treated at the CJC.
So our referrals come from law enforcement and child protective services,
Right.
right? And they get them from people who report child abuse. So if reporting is down, our numbers will be down as well. So yeah, we do need to get the word out to folks. Please, if you see something, please report it to local law enforcement or report it to DCFS. We will take as long on an interview as a child will talk. We won't
Right.
make them talk.
Right.
And we won't stop them once they start talking. When a child is disclosing something like abuse, we are going to listen. That is why we are here, is to listen to that child tell their story. And so yeah, we will take as long as each child needs, and nobody's going to speed them up, and nobody is going to stop them. So
Right.
that's that. And is child abuse going up or down? No. It's not. I would love to not have a job. I would love to be selling earrings at the mall. Not really, but child abuse is with us, and so I would not say that the numbers that we are seeing are reflective of child abuse as a whole being up or down. It's just reflective of what has come through the doors. So.
Yeah, kind of those same things. Honestly, Chrissy, I've told you this before. Yours was the first presentation I got to listen to, the first commission meeting when I was first elected, and I didn't like it then. I don't like it now.
I'm so sorry.
I don't
Adam. Every
enjoy
6
when I see
months
your
I'm
name
here.
on the, not because of you, but because it is a sad, horrible thing to know that this is going on. And like Gil said, I was torn at first on the numbers. Like, wait, you have a goal to do? The goal is not to keep child abuse there. It's that
No.
if it's, as long as it's happening, just so everybody's clear, as long as it's happening, we're going to help these children who are the most vulnerable people in our society, and they need to be protected. This is a core function of government, and one of the few things that we really should be doing, right, to try and protect and help these kids that have gone through things that I wish no child ever went through.
I hate that we call it a goal, right? Really, it's just the matrix by which the grantors are identifying that they're helping people. So that's why we have the numbers at all, so that we can. It's not because we actually want to.
No.
To
But-
always meet that number. Yeah, you're right. Goal is the wrong word. I'm gonna pass that up line and say, let's come up with a different word.
But bless
Yeah.
you and your counselors and those that are very highly trained to do this. This is not the same thing as normal police work, and to the prosecutors that throw these dirtbags in jail. So
Yeah, we've
Thank
got a
you.
great team. Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is a presentation from Hinton Burdick on the 2023 audit.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Snow. I think this is probably your second least favorite presentation.
no, actually, I like finance stuff. This is nerdy as all get out, but I like it. It's fun.
No, it's interesting stuff, and thank you so much for allowing me to come here and present to you today. We recently completed the 2023 audit of the county's financial statements, and it's my pleasure to be here to present to you the results of that audit. My name is Steve Palmer. I am a partner with Hinton Burdick, and I had the pleasure of overseeing this past year's audit. In conjunction with each audit, there's a number of different reports that we issue. The first being the independent auditor's report. And that is a report where we express our opinion on the county's financial statements as to whether or not they are materially correct, not penny perfect, but materially correct. And I'm pleased to report that the county received an unmodified or a clean opinion on their financial statements. We issue a secondary report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance, and I'm pleased to report that there were no items of any significance there that we discovered that we needed to report as official findings. We also received direction from the state auditor's office. There are specific state compliance requirements they have us look at as it relates to the county's finances. And I'm pleased to report after completing those procedures, there were not any issues that we needed to report as a finding either. The last report that we issued was on the county's compliance with federal monies, federal grants. When the county receives a significant amount of federal money, the threshold's $1 million, we have to conduct what's called a federal single audit, where we take a sample of grants, we rotate through the grants on different years, and we test for compliance, make sure those monies are being spent in the manner they should be. I'm pleased to report that we completed those procedures and there were no findings issued. Just for your information, the two programs that we specifically looked at this past year were the Coronavirus State and Local Recovery Funds and the Regional Conservation Partnership Program. So we looked at the monies that the county spent on those projects to ensure you were in compliance. I'm pleased to report that all the state and federal reports have now been submitted. They've been completed and submitted to the state government and to the federal government as required by those laws. If we can just take a few minutes now and look at the county's financial data. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time here, but I find it very interesting to look at where the county is at compared to where the county has been. So this first graph is the general fund of the county. This is basically kind of a catch-all fund for revenues and expenses of the county that aren't specifically required to be accounted for in another fund. That top line is the fund balance in the fund, in the general fund, and the bottom line is the cash. You can see both have been very stable over the past 5 years. The bottom graph represents the revenues and expenditures in the general fund.
Sorry, Sarah, can you zoom just a little bit on that?
Is it too small?
I read your mind there, Gary. I thought that's...
There we go.
That better?
So the bottom graph represents the revenues and expenses in the general fund. As you can see, they mirror one another. And that's what you expect to see in the general fund. The county's not in business to make money. The county is in business, or the county exists to provide services to the citizens. So you expect revenues and expenditures to be roughly the same in the general fund, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We can go to the next slide, the next page. This is the assessing and collecting fund. You can see that top line is fund balance and the bottom line is cash. We had a little bit of decrease in that this building was constructed and a significant amount of resources were used for this building. So the cash and related fund balance decreased. And if we go to the bottom slide, there's the revenues and expenditures. You can see that spike in expenditures in 2021. That was largely due to funds being transferred to the capital project fund for this building. That was the main cause for that increase in expenditures. The travel board fund. This fund is used to account for transient room taxes that are used to promote travel within the county, and they also assist with the WCIA, the Dixie Center. So there you can see that the majority of the fund's fund balance consists of cash, and it's been very stable, increasing slightly over the years. And if we look at the revenues and expenditures down below, scroll down just a little bit, there we go. You can see that overall, revenues and expenditures mirror one another, just as we would expect in a governmental type fund. Now the next page, this is the capital project fund. You can see that there was a large increase of cash a couple of years ago. That's as other funds were transferring money into the capital project fund for the big projects the county had ongoing. Cash increased. And then if we scroll down, we'll see that the expenditures likewise increased. And now they've kind of come back down to a more normal, if you will, level as those larger construction projects have been completed.
Okay, can I just chime in real quick?
Sure.
The point of that, we can summarize those last two slides, and the county saved money rather than issuing bonds or some other way to finance the construction of this building and other things. We saved money, we transferred the funds, then we spent it when we built the buildings.
Yeah, it is impressive the county was able to complete those projects without issuing debt. You don't see that very often. Thank you. And here's the Municipal Services Fund. You can see the cash and fund balance mirror one another again. And if we go look at the revenues and expenditures, you can see they mirror one another. In the Municipal Services Fund, this is where a lot of the activities of the county are accounted for. It's engineering, surveying, planning, sheriff, weed control, fire, all sorts of different things are accounted for within this fund. Then the Recreation Fund. This fund is used to to account for fees collected and used for the acquisition and construction of recreational facilities and the maintenance of those facilities within the county. You can see that it's been very stable over the past 5 years. Then the next slide down, we can look at the revenues and expenditures there as well. Revenues have been very consistent. You can see expenditures go up and down a little bit as different projects are undertaken by the county. Then the Corridor Preservation Fund. This fund is used to account for revenues received from the state to be used for right-of-ways and other specific expenditures. Oftentimes, the county will identify land parcels that are for the benefit of all the county as a whole. And so the county will acquire those parcels of land, and that's where this is accounted for, is within this fund.
Basically, we're buying up roadways where we think we're gonna someday put a road.
Exactly.
So we can buy it when it's cheaper, not when we already have something there that we have to buy and knock
Exactly.
down.
I guess we should say, 90+% of that fund is spent inside the incorporated cities.
A large
Most
portion
of
of it
it,
is, yes.
we just-
It's for projects that benefit the county as a whole, whether it's within a specific municipality or not.
Right.
And then if we look at the very last page, this is just a little kind of interesting. This is just a summary of the county's long-term liabilities. The column on the left is 2022 and the column on the right is 2023 with the increase or decrease. You can see the bonds decreased. The notes payable decreased significantly as the debt related to the convention center was paid off. The net pension liability, that's something the county doesn't have a whole lot of control over. That has to do with a whole lot of stock market activity and the like. Several years ago, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board required that that be put on the books of local governments. Previously, it hadn't been, and it goes up and down all over the place. So you can see there was a large swing there, mainly due to market volatility and a few other factors. We get those numbers from an actuary that the state contracts for all the municipalities and all the counties within the state, and they provide those amounts for us. Then the bottom one is the accrued compensated absences. That's if an employee were to quit, or this is the amount of accrued vacation they have. This is what the county is liable for them to take their vacation or be paid out sick time. And that's the last slide I have. That's the county's finances from the 10,000 foot level, if you will. I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody here at the county, specifically in finance, to help us with the audit. We ask for a lot of information. We look at a lot of documents. We ask for a lot of questions. And they have been so good to work with us and provide all the documents that we ask for to answer all those questions. Brian, Luke, Camille in particular get the brunt of it. I just wanted to take a moment to thank them and to thank you for allowing us to provide these services to the county. And with that, if you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to field those.
You know, these are public records. They don't have to even be grandma, I don't believe.
No, they're the county's financial statements. You can find them on the county's website. They're on the state's website. They are easily accessible to anybody.
It's great.
No, thank you. for
Okay,
everything
thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
Great, Steve.
And well done, Ryan and team.
All
No
right.
findings, that's good, should be very proud of yourself, Luke.
Item number 5 is a report on the credit rating upgrade and outstanding bonds. Ryan?
Yeah, so that was pretty much the most exciting thing that happens in the auditor's office is the report that Hinton Burdick just gave us. That was the Super Bowl of the auditor's office. And especially to have no findings, that's great. Sometimes they creep in there, but we were really happy that we had a clean report this year, and it really is. It's not just the auditor's office, but it's all of the county employees that are adhering to our current finance policies, and so it's a big deal. Anyways, I have some other great news to report. It's not too often I'm happy to say that I'm standing up here. I'm happy to be here today to report that Fitch Ratings upgraded our credit rating from AA plus to AAA. So that's the highest rating that this rating organization can give out. And what that means is that if in the future we need to issue bonds, that we're a pretty safe bet for investors to buy those bonds on the open market. And it means that we will have lower interest rates, which translates to lower cost to our taxpayers that they have to fund something like that. So it's a win-win, but luckily for Washington County citizens, we don't have a lot of debt, and we don't have any general obligation bonds in the near future that I'm aware of that we're looking at doing. Never's a long time, but for the foreseeable future, we're in pretty good shape. So with that, I just wanted to go over some of our outstanding debt, which it's very little compared to other entities of our size. But right now we have two outstanding general obligation bonds, GO bonds as they're called, which they show up on your valuation notice and your bill as a line item. And these two particular bonds are rolled up into the line item on every single property in Washington County, the county GO bond. And it's not a lot, but because we've been paying that down and able to actually lower the tax rate the last couple of years. But what's exciting about where we're at right now is this is the last year that we'll have to actually collect a tax for the county GO bond, our current county GO bond. So next year that line item will drop off of 100,000 properties.
Is that on the jail or where's that bond at?
The two bonds that are outstanding right now, one of them has to do with the library and then the Council of Aging buildings. So
very good.
that's the one that will be paid off this year. The other outstanding bond is just specific to the libraries, and it will be paid off in 2026. These are non-callable bonds. We can't pay them off early, but we do have enough fund balance. Like I say, that this will be the last year we'll collect a tax for these two specific bonds, and we have enough in our savings account to pay that one off in 2026. I just want to go over a couple of the other, just while we're on the topic, we do have a sales tax revenue bond. It's basically bonds that are backed by sales tax revenue. And that's our DMV and driver license and tax commission building out at the Legacy Park Fairgrounds. We own those buildings and the state pays us rent. So that one's scheduled, it still has a while to 2036 when that one's due to be paid off.
We'll be here.
Yeah. The other building is our Justice Center, which is our attorney's building. It's scheduled to be paid off in 2031. We do have a handful of other bonds that are on our books that are loans through our municipal building authority. And the reason those exist is we help out our small service districts, some of our fire districts that couldn't really get a loan to build a fire station or buy a fire truck. So we allow them to borrow money from us, kind of like dad co-signing on a loan with you, so they can build a fire station or get a fire truck. One of the, so we don't pay for those. It's a pass-through. They pay us so we can service the debt on those. The last one I wanted to talk to that kind of shows what a great partnership this is the big building up on the hill we see up there, the Dixie Technical College, Dixie Tech building. Same type of deal. They needed help getting financing, and so through us they were able to get a loan, and they're actually paying that off this year. So that was exciting for them. They were able to get enough funding to pay off the balance. But it was nice that we were able to help them out to get to where they're at right now. So anyhow, do you have any questions about where we're at debt-wise? And I don't know, it's exciting that we've got this rating. It's too bad that it's really good that we're not issuing debt. But if we were going to issue bonds, it would be a good thing that our rating was so high.
Is there any chance that like the 2036 or the 2031, are they restricted from early payoff? And Depends on the rate and if that would make any sense.
I'm actually, would need to check to see if those are callable or not.
Okay, well, excellent presentation, commissioners.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan, appreciate you.
Yeah, excellent news. All right, you've been busy. Sergeant Cashin, would you come up and give us our emergency services report? We have it here in front of us.
Afternoon, Commissioners. This is actually a 2-month report because last month you guys didn't have a commission meeting on the second or the third Tuesday. But yes, it has been busy. It's started to pick up again. So on this report, we had 20 search and rescues, 651 man hours, which brings us to 75 search and rescue missions so far this year. Of those search and rescues, 8 people were from our county, 5 were from outside of our county, but residency Utah, and 18 were from outside of Utah. We're seeing that trend more so as we go. We've also been helping Zion National Park a lot more because they've been absolutely inundated with rescues. So on the 23rd of June, we had a lost hiker on Forsyth Trail. 29th of June, injured hiker on Lavitubes. The 30th of June, we had an ill hiker on the left fork. You'll notice the left fork will come up again. On the 2nd of July, you guys remember the flood over in Grand County where the 2 people disappeared? They called and requested help from us. And we did dispatch our K9 to go and help search for them. Actually, he got dispatched twice.
This is your new K9, the one that
Our
we-
new K9 Scout. He went over there for 3 days the first time and 2.5 days the second time. The second time was after they had already located one victim and they asked him to come back out again. On the 4th of July, we had a stranded mountain biker on Rim Trail. The 11th, we had an ill hiker in Laburton Creek on Kolob Canyon. Again, that would be another Zion one that they asked us to help them with. That same day, again, on the left fork of the subway. On the 13th, missing kayakers at Sand Hollow. They had a bad windstorm, and they had 4 missing kayakers. They asked us to send out resources to help locate them, which they were fine, luckily. On the 15th, we had stranded hiker, I-15 in Arizona. We periodically get requested to go down in the gorge or out onto the strip to assist. Mojave County has been really good about that, but their response time is a minimum 3.5 to 4 hours. And when somebody's in trouble, that's problematic sometimes. On the 16th, we had ill hikers again on Hurricane Rim Trail. On the 18th, an ill hiker at Peters Leap. You know where that one is? We didn't either. It's actually off of Browse.
Yeah.
We did. There's some places every once in a while come up. We have to look them up. But that's off of the Browse exit, and that was heat related. 24th, we had an ill overdue hiker on Siler Flats, also again up Browse. The 26th, that's when Deputy Minton and Scout got resent over to Grand County. 31st, we had an ill hikers in Lee Pass in Kolob Canyon. We've been pretty much handling most of the search and rescues in Kolob Canyons off of exit 40. They just can't respond there that quick. On the 4th, ill hiker Johnson Trail in Snow Canyon. On the 10th, a lost persons in Bloomington Caves. They got turned around down there and couldn't find their way out. It became overdue and people got worried. On the 11th, overdue hiker on Whalecat Trail. She was located and she was fine. On the 15th, missing person on SR 18 mile marker 12, 13-ish. That one was quite large. If you can tell, the man hours were 136 on that. We her car was located by deputies, but we had no idea where she was at. So we were out there probably 4.5 to 5 hours. Had Star 8. Deputy Kraus was flying a drone. We had people man-tracking trails. Luckily, we did find her. She was injured. We used Star 8 to hoist her out and then take her down and turn her over to the ambulance crew, and they took her in. And she's going to be fine, but it was quite a long one. On the 17th, of course, we know about the flash floods. That actually, we had a call of one person in the river by Virgin, then an 8-year-old in the river, and an 18-year-old in the river, so they were hitting that on the way up to Zion. Luckily, all the people were accounted for. 3 of them in Zion were actually hoisted out because they were injured in the Narrows. And then today, at 11 o'clock, we got a call of a alleged up hiker in Red Cliffs. And we sent our crews in. They located her, had to set up a couple of raises and got her out. And she's fine.
It's amazing, you know, people don't understand when they're hiking. You can hike up easier than you can hike
Yes.
on rock face, etc. It's just a known fact. But
Well, she hiked down and couldn't get back up,
oh, that's
so
the
she
reverse.
ledged out. But
Well, when they get ledged up, sometimes they do that because they're going the wrong way.
I'm hoping our heat will let up a little bit. Almost half of these have to do with heat-related illness. So
Yeah.
I think that should calm down,
Thank-
hopefully.
Thanks to you and your entire team. Will you please tell the volunteers and your full-timers what they mean to us? Kraus,
Yes, sir.
thanks for being able to fly a
Have those
drone.
drones. Sergeant, with a group that we had from DC last week, we talked a lot about search and rescue, and around the whole state of Utah. When we got here, we talked about Zion. They were in Zion hiking and able to talk to them about what you and your teams do. And asked a lot of questions. It got really exciting for them. It was interesting though. I saw an article. I was just trying to look at it before we walked in here. 13 tubers up the Provo River. Did you hear about that one last week?
I did.
Yeah, got up on a little sandbar basically,
Mhm.
and search and rescue had to come get them in shin-deep water.
Yes. That would
Shin-deep water.
make sense on some of the calls we
Adults,
have.
these weren't little kids, 13 adults. They couldn't wade through shin-deep water. The picture of well, not yours, but their Swiftwater rescue.
Uh-huh.
I can only imagine the thought on those sorry guys' face when they got there. Are you kidding me? Come here, Bob. Come here. Just walk through. It's fine.
Again, and it's sometimes difficult, but our job is not to judge people, it is to rescue them.
I am judging the crap out of them right now. And Provo people are really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm still thinking about those 3 people that jumped up at Tocqueville. I mean, I can totally see one person jumping. I just can't see, like, after your friend breaks his ankle.
I'm coming after you.
I want you to know, I actually did find out, they didn't do it all together. One jumped, hurt himself, another one jumped to help him and hurt him, and then the third guy jumped and hurt himself.
Well, you know, all of our mothers told us as kids, you know, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Yes.
Clearly, apparently the answer is yes for those 3 idiots.
Especially when they're all related from the same family, yes.
Well,
And the volume of water up there shouldn't lead you to believe that you're jumping into a swimming pool.
They should have probably checked it because it was only that deep,
Yeah.
at the deepest. So,
thank you guys.
Well, thank you, and it was a little scary on Saturday with all of that water we had on the east side.
yeah,
just
it was, our people were running hard. Our search and rescue, the SAR deputies, they were just running call to call to call, trying to help people. And I was worried about the 8-year-old in the Virgin River. They were down there getting the frogs when the flood came, and it grabbed them and started pushing them down. And the 18-year-old that was with her got swept down further. She was covered in like sticks and mud, but she got out. So
That could have been
Could be a lot worse.
so tragic.
it could have been very tragic.
I
So
mean,
we were happy.
there was enough water that if it would have been in Provo, there was enough water in the high school parking lot. If it would have been Provo, you would have had send the
We
search
had
and
to rescue
rescue to rescue those kids. 'cause
We should-
it was
We should send that to our fellow commissioners in Utah County that, hey, we didn't call out SAR to Main Street hurricane,
Yeah.
but they would have.
Yeah.
I'll see if Sheriff Brooksby wants to call Sheriff Smith up there and talk to him about his
Yeah.
water team.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're stranded on a grass island in the middle of the parking lot. Okay, enough of that. Ray, you're making your way up for consideration of purchase requests, item number 7.
Yeah, I had to sit in the back today. The first one that I have is for the roads department. This is a usual equipment fuel purchase for $23,904.73. The next one is for an ammo purchase for the sheriff's office. They're expecting this to get us through the rest of the year, hopefully, for $30,594.35. And the final one is for tourism. This is a leadership training services for $14,588. And unless there's any questions, that's it.
That's good.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. Just 3 today.
Been part of the budget. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the purchase request as been presented.
And I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor of those purchase requests, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, our next item is consideration of resolution number R 2024-3340, a resolution approving county assistance for the Laverton Rim to River Trail in Confluence Park.
Very good, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to speak to this. This is in collaboration with the city of Laverton, and also, just for those of you who may not know, there's a park that the county owns, sits next to Laverton, also touches Hurricane and a little bit of Tokerville. Anyway, this is a beautiful trail that has just been constructed near River Rock Roasting, for those people who might know that little restaurant right as you come into Laverton. The city of Laverton secured a recreation grant for this that paid a majority of this. What we have before us is just helping finish up a few items on that trail that weren't covered through that grant. I think the trail's spectacular. It turned out fantastic. I think Laverton is planning on having a ribbon cutting in October. There was also a tremendous amount of things that were volunteered or donated. We had some great companies that came through and donated to this trail as well that will be honored there. But so what we have before us here is a resolution for $43,500 that will be paid to Laverton just to finish up the contract. That basically there was a few things, for example, some rock retention walls, which came in really handy in this flood that we just had. Otherwise, we would have had some substantial damage on the trail. Also, there was some drainage that was put in as well, because where this trail sits is kind of an old historic drainage for the bench there. And I think that also was tested and served very well in this last little downpour that we have. But this will be a beautiful addition for the public to use, accessing the river there. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this resolution, R-2024-3340, a resolution approving county assistance for the Laverton Rim to River Trail in Confluence Park. I'd also like to thank Councilwoman Patty Weiss and also Councilmember Darren Prince and all of Laverton staff for a great project and a great accomplishment on this trail.
And I'll second that and just note that the cost, because it was requested, the cost on this is $43,500.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Our next item, number 9, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3341, a resolution appointing a board member to the Washington County Tourism Tax Advisory Board. term suggested for Shane Whitwer, expiring December 31, 2026.
Thank you. Yeah, as you know, we had one of our fantastic Tourism Advisory Board members that had to vacate their seat prior to the term being up. So we're recommending Shane Whitwer take the remainder of that term, as Shane's a fantastic choice due to his ownership and management of several lodging properties in Washington County, as well as his seat on the Utah Office of Tourism Board, and he's also been heavily involved with the Dixie Center. So we're excited that he's agreed to sit on another board and be part of our Tourism Advisory Group.
Great.
Brittany, will you just briefly explain Tourism Tax Advisory Board? It's kind of statutory requirement in the fact that people that sit on that board actually represent the taxpayers of the tourism tax.
Correct. The majority of the board members have to represent entities that pay into either the transient room tax or the TRCC tax.
Perfect. Great fit.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3341, appointing a board member, namely Shane Whitwer, to the Washington County Tourism Tax Advisory Board with his term expiring December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. Item number 10, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3342, a resolution authorizing the RNPP lease renewal for the Southern Utah Shooting Sports Park land. Devin.
Commissioners, this is a lease that you have before you. Our shooting sports park is actually operated on federal lands, on BLM managed land, and we're operating under an existing lease, and that lease is up. And the document that you have before you is a renewed lease for 25 years. It calls for, it's free rent, so it's about 500 acres of property. Staff recommends that you approve this renewal.
Mr. Chairman, Devin, I just have one question. It's my understanding that eventually our PNP land is supposed to be patented. I know that we've had this land for longer than 25 years. I know there was a little bit of mix-up in the first lease time. So by renewing the lease, how close are we to eventually getting patent?
At the end of the term, that's when we'd be eligible for patent land, so 25 years.
So they kind of restarted the clock on us, it looks like. So I guess if they want the land back, they can clean up all the lead that's out there. But I don't think they'll want it back. But I wish that, so with this, are we going to be able to get it patented?
Yes, that's the intent. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3342, authorizing the RPNP lease renewal for the Southern Utah Shooting Sports Park land, with the note as well that anybody who hasn't been out there, it is a phenomenal facility. If you are a Second Amendment loving gun shooting enthusiast, it's a great park with lots of options, and people should go out there. It's a great gem that we have that I don't know how many people really know or have been there. They tend to want to go out in the hills and just kind of shoot at their favorite little wildcat spot, but this is a great thing no matter what kind of shooting sports you enjoy. The Shooting Sports Park? It's over right by the fairgrounds.
So the way the park is run is that there's different ranges that are run by clubs, nonprofit clubs, that have a relationship with the county. And so, for example, Purgatory Clay runs the shotgun range. They do a great job. And so, they're the ones, they're not really county employees, but they have a responsibility to do it. I mean, you have practical shooting if you're into that. You also have Red Cliffs, which is the kind of the general shooting range. We also have Cowboy Action that's out there if you're into cowboy action. It's all right there. So each club kind of runs their own range, and then we have the archery range as well. So, and the county owns the property, and then we kind of manage some of the utilities and stuff. So, anyway, I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 11 is consideration of resolution number R 2024-3343, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between the cities of St. George, Hurricane, Washington, Santa Clara Enterprise, and Washington County for building inspection services. Devin.
Commissioners, this is an agreement that allows us to cooperate with municipalities in the county to provide building inspection services. And so this is important because state law just changed, and it gives municipalities and counties a really short window of time to have building inspections completed. And so what this does is say, look, we as a county and municipalities, we can look to each other. Let's say our building inspector here is tied up when we get a request. We can look to St. George and say, hey, can you help us out? Can you send an inspector? We've got a short time frame to get this done. And so this sorts that out with all the municipalities. That basically, we have a list. We can call on each other to help meet that deadline under state law.
Right, and they're all working out of the same textbook, so to speak, when it comes to international building codes. So the overlapping experiences should be adequate for anyone to share inspectors. Call for motion then.
Chairman,
go
you
ahead.
got it?
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3343, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between the cities of St. George, Hurricane, Washington, Santa Clara Enterprise, and Washington County for building inspection services.
And I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 12, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3344, resolution appropriating funds collected as Washington County's Recreation, Arts, and Parks sales tax for recreational facilities.
This is a resolution where this has to do with funding received on the Recreation, Arts, and Parks sales tax. This is funding that the county receives that has to be used for recreation, arts, and parks. And so the county received requests from two communities for a park appropriation. The first one is from the City of Enterprise in the amount of $35,000. They've asked for help with resurfacing outdoor tennis courts and basketball and pickleball courts. Then the second request was from Washington City for a new park for $30,000. And those are the requests that are before you.
Mr. Chairman, and also just the note that the Enterprise is 30, did you say 35,000 and the Washington City was 30,000? I move that we approve Resolution R-2024-3344, appropriating these funds collected as Washington County's Recreation, Arts, and Parks sales tax for recreational facilities, as described.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That exhausts our agenda with the exception of this announcement. Meetings are rebroadcast daily on TDS cable channels 22 and 108 at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. They're also available on demand at youtube.com/community education channel. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.